something is ready to grow. It's not random, it's direction. It's telling you exactly where you need to go, where you need to learn, what you need to understand. And that's so much important, right? You cannot use your fire if you reject it, reject where it comes from, right? Those negative things, those ugly parts, those shadowy, hidden parts that haven't seen light, they're only shadowy and bad and ugly because they haven't been understood, right? When people avoid things, it's not because they hate it, it's because they don't understand it. And why should you ever walk in this world when there's a part of you that you don't understand? Nobody in this world should understand you better than you. And if you don't even understand you, that's where you get manipulated. That's where you get people coming in, telling you stuff and getting you with things. And you're like, no, that makes no sense to me. It doesn't make no sense to me. And I've been doing all this learning and I understand myself and my pattern. That doesn't look good for me. And I've made a deal with myself. If it's not an absolute yes, it's a no, right? And you start, those boundaries become stronger, they become firmer, but they came from the ugly parts. And that fierceness that you did use to beat yourself up, that you used to carry the torch that everyone else has been doing, now you focus it on you. And that fierceness is now lifting you up. It wasn't a bad thing. It's just not reacting and spewing negativity. It's lifting you up with positivity. It's showing you steps. It's allowing you the time to listen, to put yourself first, to focus on you. That fire becoming creation is the biggest, it is absolutely my most favorite part of this process. If you can't tell, I talk about it, and the way I talk about it, you can see it in my actions, in the things that I've built in the background, that are still coming, in the things that I put out every single day, in the content that I create. When I tell you that is my fire, but I had to get through so many trenches. I had to figure it out. I had to start trusting in me. I had to start trusting with my connection with God. I used to shame myself because I don't pray like everybody else prays, you know, for hours at a time. But I talk to God all day long, all day long. Thank you for the beautiful blue sky. What is it I'm trying to learn? What am I trying to understand? And then I listen, right? Because I've learned that connection. I ask a question, I'm getting the answer. I get it nearly immediately or very soon after. Okay, the only time that I ever get like not get the answer very quickly is when the answer is I need to be patient, which is I hate that one. It's I'm like, really? That's my response. I say to God, really? Like I got to be patient again? You know, it's one of my hardest things, and I full on admit that. But I've learned to laugh about it. But the important ones, the ones when I'm telling a message, even when I'm talking about this, all of my notes, I haven't went through all of them. I'm trying to keep some of the key points because I can talk about this for days and days and days because I know it so well, right? And because it drives me, it inspires me, and it brings me absolute joy. And I think that anybody, when they start finding that out about themselves and start seeing what your capacity is, what your capability is, your ability to show up, the things that you can actually do when you focus a little more on yourself and start learning what triggers you, what your goals are, why things trigger you. Because there are certain things that trigger you that are supposed to trigger you. They're supposed to trigger you, like loyalty, right? Honesty, integrity. So if you stand by that and that is your compass, that's your true north, that's who you are as a human being. If somebody is coming against you and not doing those things, and you're watching them not do those things and they're doing it in your face and you know they're doing it, what are you going to do? You're going to be triggered. You're going to be upset. That doesn't mean we react and shame them and all that stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But it's going to trigger you because that's not who you are. And what that means is you and that person, place, or thing doesn't align. It doesn't align with your goals, with your morals, with who you are as a person. And no matter where you are in this world, in this life, that's always going to trigger you because that's your core belief. That's who you are, right? You can't heal that out of you, and it should never be healed out of you because it's the greatest part of you. And when we start understanding that, we're not turning that into ugly. Yes, that triggers us. So how am I going to respond to it? I'm going to respond by not being around what doesn't align, what's going to constantly trigger me because I'm not going to feel safe, because that makes me fearful, because I believe respect, honesty, loyalty, integrity are those things that matter. Handshakes should matter. I make a handshake with you. I stand by that. I'm showing up. I'm doing the things. That's who I am as a person. And if you're not doing those things, I'm not ever going to feel safe in an interaction, right? And some people are learning their way there. And that doesn't mean you're not going to align with them forever. It doesn't mean you can't teach them things along the way. What it does mean is you know who you are. We want to heal those things that are empowering us. And when we understand that this is something that triggered us to something ugly because we didn't understand it. But once we understand it, that's not ugly. That's not a bad thing. It just means we have to adjust, pivot, and understand it so we don't constantly get triggered for that because we shouldn't have to be triggered for that, right? So, what can we change? It's not always going to be what somebody else does. Accountability lies where it lies. We can't force other people to have accountability, but we can be accountable for our own self. We can be accountable in how we teach, how we learn, what it is we want to do. That's the thing. And when we have our own personal accountability, we start becoming and having our own divine authority, which means I speak it, I do it, it happens, and it must come to pass. It's universal law. It must come to pass. I'm doing the action steps. I show up. I do all the things. It doesn't matter if I do all of the right things. What matters is I show up and I do everything that I possibly know that I can possibly do. And in the amount of time that it takes me to do that and apply those action steps, what happens? A new opportunity opens up, a new possible path, a new idea, a new connection that leads you right to exactly where you want to go. You have to trust. And to trust, you have to know yourself. You have to understand yourself. You have to understand yourself so thoroughly that when you take those steps, nobody can shake you. Nobody can tell you this is a yes, a no, a maybe. It is an absolute yes because I've thought it through. I understand. I understand the pros, the cons, the things that could happen, and I'm not scared. And that's what happens when we take that, all of those things, and we understand them and we can turn it into our creation. That's pretty freaking exciting, don't you think?